Welcome to today's edition of Mental Health Matters. Today we're going to be talking to somebody who was in the military. He's going to share his story about military life and what it was like. So stay tuned and get you a snack and some to drink and come on back. Gary, thank you so much for being a guest on our show again. We just finished another segment. So we're going to talk a little bit about the military life and just your experience. So I want to talk a little bit more about just your upbringing. I know you said you was from upstate New York.
Yes.
And things like that. So tell me a little bit about, because I want to try to show why you went into the military and what was the purpose. So let's talk a little bit about your childhood. Just how was it like and things like that, if you don't mind.
Honestly, my childhood was some of the best memories a person could have. I absolutely loved my childhood. I grew up on a dairy farm out in the country.
Nice. I wouldn't see me looking at you. I would not picture you a country boy per se.
I am.
Yeah. Wow. So what was that like? Like, what did you do? Did y'all do the whole chickens and the cows and stuff like that? Or
Well, we were a major dairy. We weren't allowed to have chickens based on our co-op's rules.
Okay.
For health reasons. So
Okay.
we only had cows on our farm.
Okay. Wow.
About 700 cows.
Yeah. See, doing this show, I get a chance to pry into people's personal life a little bit, so without it seeming weird. But I won't pry too bad. But so, how many siblings did you have growing up?
Pardon?
How many siblings?
Just one.
Really?
I had a half brother.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
So, from your mom, you're the only child from your mom, or your dad?
No, from my biological father.
From your biological. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. But so your mom had how many kids? Just one.
She had two kids.
Two. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. You're the oldest, youngest.
I'm the oldest. My father, he died shortly after they found out that they were pregnant
Okay.
with me. So
Okay.
never knew him. My stepdad came into the picture when I was about 8 months old. Married my mom when I was 3, and he's the only father I know.
So that's your dad. That's
my
how
dad.
it goes.
That's my dad. And then he had a son with my mother.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Nice. So the dairy, I mean the farm life. So what was it like for you as a kid, just into that? I mean, I'm sure you had friends that was not on the farm or just. So just tell a little bit about that.
I had friends that, they're just regular kids and all that.
Yeah.
They didn't always want to come on over and visit because my father would put us all to work.
Yeah.
But I mean, looking back on it, to me, my childhood was normal, but it's kind of strange when I think about it and how much work I was doing around large animals. I was driving tractors at 5 years old.
Yeah, wow.
Working with farm equipment. It's kind of a miracle I made it through with all my limbs.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. That's interesting. Man, that's so fascinating to me. Trust me, I'm trying to picture this, and I'm just, yeah. So how do you like animals now? Are you an animal lover?
Love them.
Okay.
Love animals.
So do you think that stemmed from your upbringing and things like that, or?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Honestly, probably not. Growing up on a farm, you have a very utilitarian view of animals.
Okay.
This sounds terrible, but they're your livelihood.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to make judgments about which ones you keep and which ones go in the freezer.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, it's a very practical outlook. And since getting away from the farm, I've become more of an animal lover. And I don't think I could go back to the practical view of animals that I used to have.
Yeah. I know some of my friends are fishermen, and they would come home after going to Folsom Lake, wherever they fish at, and they would fillet and do all this stuff, and I could not sit there and watch them do that and eat the product. I can't. It's a mental thing with me.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
That's a way of life as a farm boy. Starting at 14, I started hunting deer to help feed the family.
So would you like cut it and then you was able to eat it with no problem?
I remember butchering my first deer with my dad when I was about 5 or 6 years old.
Oh my God, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. I couldn't do it at all.
It was just a way of life.
Yeah, it's mental for me.
Mm-hmm.
So how was high school for you at grade school? Like how was that?
My school was glad when I graduated and went in the military. I was
Okay.
a little troublemaker. I didn't like being told what to do, which is ironic since I went in the military.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. So it's interesting. I was talking to another person that I know. I don't think he watched the show, but I'm gonna say it. I was like that too. So we were kind of comparing our childhood, how rebellious we was, and just I grew up in Chicago, streets of Chicago, and everything you see on TV is what my life was like. It really was.
Wow.
But I made it out. I went to school, got degrees, and just But so, what made you want to actually go to the military? Why did the military appeal to you?
Well, my family, farmers in New York, were not the most wealthy people.
Okay, it wasn't a little
money-wise. We had a lot of land and a lot of equipment, but that's tied up in the business.
Yeah.
My parents dreamed of me going to college, but I didn't have the grades to get scholarships, and I didn't want to be a hardship on them.
Yeah.
Paying for college. My grandfather was a World War II Marine veteran, so the military was always kind of on my mind.
Yeah.
Wanted to be like him.
Yeah.
And so when it came time to graduate, I had the choice of being stuck in the small town where nobody ever moved more than 3 miles away, doing farming the rest of my life,
yeah,
or going military. And
yeah.
I'll be honest with you, my recruiter made it sound so exotic and exciting, and I joined the military at 17. And
oh wow!
I was still in high school when I joined the military, and I went to basic training when I was 18.
Wow! So you were still like, oh.
I was a baby.
Yeah, I was a baby, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you, basic training, and because this is a whole new experience to what you were used to?
Being a farm boy, on the one hand, I was used to early mornings and hard work and just doing things I didn't necessarily want to be doing at 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I had a lot of freedom.
Okay.
I was, out in the fresh air by myself a lot of the times, and going to basic training where you're suddenly thrown into a couple of bays with 60 other people from all over the country. And this might sound strange, but where I grew up, it's pretty culturally homogenous back there. And suddenly you go to basic training and you're meeting people of all different backgrounds, of different religions.
Yes, exactly.
And that was quite the culture shock for me.
Yes. It's interesting you said that because that happened to me. So being in Chicago, I grew up in what we call the hood. There was nothing but African Americans, no whites, no Hispanic. I mean, just nothing but black folks. And so when I went to college, it was a very diverse university. And so I was like, oh, but for some reason, I just embraced it. I loved it because I felt I was always different anyway, because I didn't want to be the person that was going to be a stigma based off my environment, based off my dysfunctional family. I never wanted that life for me as an adult. So I think of Emily, I was always grasping for something different, so when I saw these white folks, these Chinese folks, these Russian folks, and Hmong, whoever, I'm like, oh wow, and I just went into it, just embracing these friendships and things like that, and people in my family, people in my environment back in Chicago, because I went to school out of Chicago, they couldn't understand it. I was being called a sellout. They saw this difference in me. I didn't want to be at home. I didn't necessarily want to be around, to be honest. I didn't want to be around just all black folks no more. I want to be around a collective group of people. I just want to be around diversity. And so for me, that was perfect. But your experience, how was it? You said it was a culture shock for you. It
was a culture shock for about 15 minutes because once you get off the bus, you don't have time to think of anything else. I mean, the military's goal at that point is to strip you of your personal identity and recraft a new one.
Yes.
So suddenly everyone's getting their head shaved, everyone's getting their clothes taken away, you're all putting the same clothing on.
Yeah.
A lot of, in my basic training, we responded to roster numbers, so I was number 2. So a lot of times they'd call for you by number. You didn't even have a name, really. And they kept you so busy with so much work that you couldn't possibly do it by yourself, that you had to rely on the person next to you, and you quickly forget about all those things. And so for me at one point, being a kid that grew up in a almost all-white high school, maybe one African-American per grade, suddenly I remember one day just kind of going, whoa, wait a minute, Airman Beasley, I forgot he was black.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
it's about you in the military.
Yeah.
Wow.
You just suddenly realize all I thought about was this person who he and I teamed up on so many things.
Yeah.
You know.
So I'm going to take a different direction now. How was that for you? Because you know society, you notice the history with whites and blacks and how society is. How was that for you personally? And I want you to be really transparent with me.
Ooh. Okay.
Just having to work closely with somebody of that race, was it stereotypical for you? Was it an issue for you, or just it's just another person?
Like I said at the beginning, you were so busy and you were so task oriented that me personally, I didn't even think of it.
Okay.
The mission, the goal was all that was important. Getting it done to keep Sergeant Morton off your radar.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
So once I got to my active duty station, a lot of us, we just whoever we liked, we liked.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
You know.
That's good.
Now, when I went in at the same time, though, that was back at the very beginning of the "Don't Ask, Don't Tell" era. So there were still a lot of old homophobic attitudes that were going on.
Yeah.
And so I'll admit that a lot of us were still very, what's what I'm looking for? We were vigilant. For what was going on, what we saw. And that was really not the military's proudest time. But
what was a lot of racism in terms of race too?
I don't remember that.
Okay,
I don't remember that. I remember I was active duty on September 11th, and
really?
Yeah, and we had this one Airman Habib, and I remember him coming into our duty section within hours of the event.
Yeah.
And the look on his face. And then I remember other airmen that were there pulling him aside and saying, "Hey, Airman Habib, we don't associate you with this."
Okay, good. Yeah.
You know, and to me at that moment I realized, I became aware that, wow, we're part of a team, we're part of a group, and we're just not, we don't, those old patterns of thought were gone.
Yeah.
And they hadn't been there in so long, and I hadn't thought about them not being there in a long time.
You know, it's interesting. I was talking to another person that, I'm going to be careful. So that somebody I know that I recently met. And this person is he's a white guy. Just looked like the typical American white guy. Blonde hair, blue eyes. And so he was telling me that his father and mother is very racist. He's the only child, and his parents is very racist. And so, of course, I want to know more about it, So when he grew up and stuff, he grew up in an all-white town, stuff like that. And so he said he grew up where they will stand the N-word a lot. Just nigger this, nigger that, it just, But he said that, so when he went to college, his mind was programmed to think like that. And so he said, so his first year of college, or the first semester of college, he had a roommate. And so he found out that his roommate was Nigerian, African, or something like that. And so because of all the stereotypes of the African community, he had his own train of thought about what he thought about black folks. And so he said there was a part of him that was curious as to why black folks was the way they were based off what was told to him in the home. But at the same time, he had this fear because he didn't want his parents to know, his parents to know, but he was saying his curiosity took over his fear. And so he did not switch roommates and stuff. He said that him and this man are best friends to this day. He said it took like almost a year for him to tell his family and his friends back home. So when he told, I guess it was over Thanksgiving break or something at the time, but so he had his friends over, family over. When he told them that his roommate was black, his father threw him out the house.
Wow.
Because it was surprise and stuff like that, but they eventually got over and stuff. But he said, yeah, they're best friends and stuff like that. And I thought that was interesting, but he was saying that he was curious to see, just know about why these people are like in his mind and stuff. So, but that's just a different note. I just kind of thought about, when you said that. So, so which branch of the military were you in?
I was in the United States Air Force.
Air Force. Okay. Wow. So what did you actually do? What was your job duties while you was in there?
I was a crew chief.
A crew chief. Okay.
Yeah, I was a what we called an APG, basically a general mechanic and inspector on. I started on C-141s.
Okay.
Cargo planes.
Okay. Wow.
And then when that plane got retired, that airframe got retired, we all switched over to C-5s, and I was also trained on C-17s.
So, wow, that's, one of the things I like about people that go to the military, you experience another form of life, so to speak. Like you have your experience is different than what your natural surrounding is, because I like the fact that they get people from all around the world, and it's like, okay, you guys got to make this work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty much, You
have no choice. It will work.
Yeah, sink or swim. So I think for me, that type of environment really shapes a person into a better individual, in my opinion. Because I think living in this world, you have to be able to get outside your norm or operate outside your norm, in my opinion, and stuff. So, but things are a little bit different now in the military. It's about the homophobic stuff, and it's things are shifting. So
very much so.
But I want to say, so did you experience any post-PSTD or anything?
PTSD?
Yeah, like
I didn't. I mean,
okay.
I was a technician.
Okay.
So, I've seen many accidents happen.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Did you see anything or know anybody that experienced that?
Several.
Wow. Yeah.
Several.
And what was that like for you? Was you afraid that that may happen to you, or?
No, to be honest with you, in my particular field, a lot of the prevailing mentality was, you did something stupid.
Okay.
Okay. Why would he do that?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys, that became the dangers. A lot of guys thought that will never happen to me because I can never do something stupid.
Yeah.
It made me a little more alert.
Yeah.
But we had one guy that fell off the crew entry ladder to a C-5, which is about 15, 20 feet up, and he landed on his head, busted his head wide open.
Yeah.
And it made me think, wow, he was going down face first, and I go down face first. Maybe I need to turn around and face the airplane like I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. How long did you do in the military?
Honestly, it came out this weird 9 years, 9 months, 9 days.
Wow, that's a long time. 9 years, 9 months. That's a long time. Did you enjoy it?
Sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes. Some of the best memories of my life, but also some of the most aggravating memories of my life at the same time.
Yeah.
Like I said, growing up, I was used to a certain amount of freedom and autonomy. In the military, there's no autonomy.
So do you think that shaped you into being the person you are today?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no way you can get through the military without having some sort of influence over you.
So have you always had like because you have a very strong presence.
Oh.
I know when I first met you at, where we was working and stuff, you actually stood out from everybody that was on your team.
Didn't know that.
No, yeah, you did. For me, your presence for me was just very strong. Like you look like a strong individual,
Thank you.
Very quiet, very observant. You didn't speak till you was asked questions and things like that. So but for some reason I didn't really think of military. I knew you worked there obviously, but I didn't think of military, but I'm just like, okay, this made sense to me when I learned you was in the military and stuff.
I've heard from a number of people, both ex-military and not ex-military, like when I was in college, that a lot of the veterans present an intimidating presence in the classroom.
Yes, yes.
I've heard a lot of students say that, and to us veterans, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We kind of laugh over it amongst ourselves, but we just sit up straight and we're quiet.
Yes, you are. Yeah, I don't mean this in a bad way, by the way. I'm just telling my interpretation or my assumption of you when I first met you. You looked very intimidating. You looked, but not in a bad way though. You just look like, okay, you do right by this guy. Don't cross, or you're gonna have trouble. You know.
Well, the military. I mean, they teach you a certain amount of bearing. We call it military bearing, and I have never had it articulated to me in this way. But I think the military has a desire to have its members project confidence, competence, and readiness.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what you gave off.
And you do that. You're taught to do that even when you're scared, even when you're unsure of yourself.
Yeah.
And so that carries over into the rest of your life. And I think a lot of people.
Yeah. So what you liked that at first before you joined the military? What type of person were you before you joined the military?
My mother said that I was always an angry child. I was always a little intense, but I was a lot more emotive and expressive as a child in the military. They took that out of me.
So they kind of silenced you in a sense.
Yeah, they don't want to hear your opinion. They don't want to see your reaction. Just
that's interesting to me. Like, I mean, I joined a fraternity, and in my fraternity we went through how can I explain this? We went through a period where we got hazed, like a lot of physical and mental abuse, a lot, for like about 12 weeks. And it was pretty much very similar. You don't have a voice about it. Pretty much you're a slave. You yes sir, no sir, and you know you get all these beatings, and you spend all your money. People get you up all types in the night, 3, 4 in the morning. It was a hot mess back then. So I wouldn't, obviously older now, I wouldn't do it, but I understand that part of it. You know, yours probably was a little bit more intense in a different way, but we were definitely, I got my nose broke, I got my arm broke. Then you have to lie and when you go to the hospital and say I failed, I was playing basketball, all this crazy stuff. But people knew, I mean, the hospital staff knew something was going on. Some of us had black eyes, just crazy, you know. But I got through it. I wouldn't do it again. It's about putting hands on me, but I got through it. So would you recommend, if you had to go to the military again, would you do it?
Yes.
Really? Why?
Yes.
Tell me why.
Well, going back to what we talked about, getting out of your comfort zone, and getting out of what's familiar.
Yeah.
I can tell you that the military opened my eyes in a lot of ways to a wider world. When I go home to this day, my family still, God bless them, I love them, but you know, their understanding of the world comes from you know what they understand, and I feel like I've been exposed to so much, and it gives me a different perspective where I can say, well, maybe what I thought I knew to be true isn't as true as I thought it was.
Yes, exactly. Do you feel like a little bit of an outcast?
Not really, but I can definitely tell whenever I go back home. I mean, I hear them say, you're different. Yeah. Where'd you come from? You're not the person that we sent away in 1994. You're different. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So tell me, I want to share one of your most memorable moments in the military.
Oh. Back in the mid-90s, we did things called ORIs, Operational Readiness Inspections. Okay. And it was basically war games. It was practice. Okay. And we would be put on no days off, minimum 12-hour shifts. And at the time, I was living in the barracks, the dormitories, on grave shift. Okay. Now, living grave shift on an Air Force base would be like trying to sleep during the day at an airport. planes taking off all the time, people constantly busy, so I wasn't sleeping very well.
Yeah.
And I remember that I was very sleep deprived. I'd been up for 3 days straight because I just couldn't get sleep where I was staying, and I hadn't eaten for a couple of days because I just couldn't get to the chow hall at the right times.
Yeah.
And I remember standing on an airplane just hallucinating.
Oh, wow.
I would see, I kept seeing this little black cat running by in the corner, in the corner of my vision.
Yeah.
And they were keeping an eye on me.
Yeah.
And then one day, it was very foggy that night, and I saw a cow look in the crew entry door of my C-141.
Yeah.
And I looked back, and there wasn't the cow there, and I thought, oh crap, I'm hallucinating.
Yeah. So.
And then I hear a call from an airplane a couple spots down, Silver 3239. We have a cow on our flight deck, or on our cargo deck.
Oh, okay.
Turns out that the power was out to the neighboring farm's fence.
Okay.
A cow got onto the flight line, crossed an active runway, and was walking around on airplanes.
Okay.
And so I remember us chasing this cow off this flight line.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you wasn't hallucinating with the cow?
Not with the cow.
Yeah. Wow.
But I thought I was.
Wow. So where were you stationed at?
Travis Air Force Base.
Okay, down here.
Yes.
Okay,
Bay,
wow.
Bay Area.
Bay Area. Okay. Wow, interesting. Yeah, that's. So how you talked about the recruiter made it sound very exotic.
Yes.
So tell me something, because I'm assuming that the recruiters, their job is to market the military. Their job is
marketing.
Okay.
It's marketing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I started out as a Marine Corps recruit, and that recruiter ended up doing some fairly shady things. So
Okay.
I talked to an Air Force recruiter, and she made the Air Force sound incredible.
Okay.
Well, you worked on tractors on the farm? Well, we're gonna make you a crew chief.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna work on airplanes. You're gonna fly wherever that airplane goes. You're gonna see the world.
Yeah.
Wasn't like that.
Yeah. So you didn't do a lot of traveling, being
not really.
Really?
Travis is kind of unique in that sense, but I found out once I got in that to be a flying crew chief, I had to have my 5-level mechanic certification, and that required at least 3 years of active duty.
Yeah.
So, oh, good. 3 years. I can't go anywhere at least for 3 years.
Yeah.
And then once I got to that level, it turns out that, rank has its privileges. Other people had seniority, and they got those slots.
Yes.
And so it was just a lot of reporting to work every day, going to the flight line, not going anywhere.
So was work like how we have 9 to 5 jobs now? After a certain time, you go out and do what you want to do. If you go to the movies, bar, whatever. Within a certain
set of limitations.
Okay.
You weren't allowed to travel a certain distance off duty without permission.
Okay. Wow.
You have to be available at certain times. There's certain things you couldn't do without permission. Like, for example, you couldn't just go skydiving without getting your command's approval, because they don't want you hurting yourself unnecessarily. But for the most part, I was grave shift, so I'd start work at 11 p.m., get off at 7 a.m., and the rest of the day was yours to try to do what you wanted.
Yeah.
And in the Air Force, they kind of expect a lot more personal responsibility.
Okay.
It's up to you. We're going to make sure that you have to get to work on time. We're not going to wake you up. We're not going to come get you.
I understand.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So your mental health. Do you think that your mental health was affected, rather in a good or positive way, in the military? I mean, say good or positive. I mean, in a negative or positive way.
Both ways.
Okay.
I mean, 10 years is a long time.
Yeah.
And when I look back at it, being an 18-year-old going from an idyllic childhood in the country to suddenly, hey, here's an airplane that has who knows what kind of cargo or weaponry on it, who knows what kind of people on it.
Yeah.
And it's up to you to make sure they all survive.
Yeah.
That was very stressful for me as an 18-year-old. I was constantly worried about killing everybody by making a mistake. And so that had a negative mental health impact. But at the same time, working through those issues, working through that, it caused me to, one, it strengthened me up quite a bit.
Yeah.
B, it taught me the value of asking for help when I needed it and not trying to bottle all that stuff up. I was very much encouraged, why don't you go talk to somebody?
Yeah, that's good.
Go through some stress management and things like that. So that gave me a lot of valuable tools that carried me through the rest of my time.
Yeah, yeah. So do you feel like it's a lot of people that may be embarrassed or may not want to go and talk to a counselor or something because the way that they may be perceived or projected?
In the military, there's a lot of variation.
Okay.
Every job has its own culture. Each branch has its own culture.
Okay.
And for a lot of people, going and asking for help might honestly get you disqualified from doing the job you've been trying very hard to do.
Great. Yeah.
Others might feel like they're going to get made fun of. You're supposed to be strong. You can't. You can't do this. You don't want to be perceived as weak.
Yeah.
But in others, there is that. Well, we don't want you to kill everybody.
Yeah.
We want you to be rested and healthy and alert on your job. So go talk to people, get the help, so you can return to your mission and do the best job you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Well, we've run out of time, brother, and I thank you so much for once again doing another show with me.
No, you're welcome.
That's it for this edition of Mental Health Matters. If you enjoyed this particular show, or if you would like to be a guest on the show, or if you would like to get a DVD copy of the show, please dial 916-366-4600. Thank you.